Hey guys, it's Johnny Time. Today's video is a bit different from the normal video format. This will be more of a tutorial style video because what we're trying to do is, through our experience of using Unreal Insights for timer stops, we want to try and do a video for explaining some of the basics of Unreal Insights and how to use it, because if you try and look for online resources, it's actually very limited in terms, especially in terms of video tutorials of Unreal Insights and how you can use it. So we're trying to bring some of our expertise and knowledge to be able to show you guys, so you can get a better understanding of Unreal Insights and hopefully be able to help you in your own game development journey. So yeah, let's begin. So the first question we have to ask is, what actually is Unreal Insights? So what Unreal Insights is a tool provided by Epic, included in the Unreal Engine, which looks at your game on a frame by frame basis and describes what's happening at each frame. So this is very useful because this allows you to help optimize your game. So, for example, if you're getting bad performance, you can look at Unreal Insights and see, oh, we had a frame spike at this point in the game, and now looking at Unreal Insights, we can see that this is due to X, Y, and Z reasons. So this is very helpful, as I mentioned previously, for optimizing. So you can make your game go through running at 30 FPS to 60 FPS, maybe even 120 FPS. And since we're working in VR with our game timer stops, this is like from 45 FPS to 72 FPS to 90 FPS. And as you can see on screen, you can find Unreal Insights at this directory here in the Unreal Engine, so that you can open it up and start working with it. Though before you start working with Unreal Insights, you need what is called a trace, which is a special file which has all the data in it from your game. So what this is a blueprint that we have in Unreal Engine for how we get our traces and record and save them. And then here is a CMD command which allows you to pull the trace from, well, in this case from our headset, but obviously you're going to need to adjust this for your game, and then be able to save it to the Unreal Insights directory. So those are the basic steps for what Unreal Insights is and how you set it up. For this part of the tutorial, I split my screen into two. So on the left, I have gameplay for time has stopped, and on the right, I have the trace that I've recorded during the gameplay. So the reason why I've done this is that it's to show that what's happening in the gameplay and what's happening in the trace is actually exactly the same. It's just that it's shown through one is shown through the screen and the interactions with the player and the game, but this is more what's going on in the game logic, but it's still through the perspective of the player, but this is just represented as a mathematical function, while this is just raw gameplay. So yeah, if I start clicking the playing the video, as you can see here, I put my recording on, so it pretty much starts here because this space here is just me loading up the game, and it only starts doing the trace afterwards. So if you go into here, you can see that rather about my gameplay is about it starts at the 1 minute 13 mark, and then it finishes at the 150 mark, and you'll kind of see from the gameplay the video is about that length. It's just slightly longer because I pressed the record button and then I closed the record button before closing the video. So this is the reason why I bring this up, is that before you start looking at your trace, it's of utmost importance that you understand that these two are exactly the same. It's just that this is just raw gameplay and this is just a pure mathematical function. Okay, so now that we saw how the trace is related to the gameplay, I want to show how we start looking at a trace so we can increase our performance. So thankfully, this part is fairly simple because because what you have here is like what's going on individually in the game. I mean, if you can zoom in, it's kind of done by frame here. So this is about one frame here. Obviously, like if you're looking at this for the first time, it's really hard to understand what's going on. I won't. I'll give an example later on in the video. But for now, to understand firstly where to start looking, if you look up here, you can see that. And if I do my mouse wheel to zoom in here, this is pretty much every frame of the gameplay. And what you want to do, so you can see like these big spikes are like representative of like bad FPS. So you click on a spike, and then Unreal Insights will kind of get like that frame and show it for you inside yeah, it'll show you like what this frame represents in Unreal Insights. And so what you can do, so what you do is that you start like you click on it and it takes you here, and pretty much you start looking through the trace to try and understand what's going on. As I've mentioned, what I'll talk about in the next part of the video is general understanding of how you start breaking down traces and what you can start looking for, because this is very specific to our game. So I'll try. So the next part I'll explain more general logic so that you can apply it to your game. So for this part of the tutorial, I want to just show you this example we have of what could be happening during your game. This is not something that specifically happened in our game. It's just more of logic that could happen and how we break down this logic so that you can understand what you can start looking for in Unreal Insights. So for example, in your game, you have physics in it. So here is the start physics part. And then when this starts, you have the background worker doing the unknown physics. And then when the physics finishes, it has the end physics here. So the reason why I bring this up is that when you're looking at this, what you need to optimize plays a role. So for example, a person here could say, oh, I want to optimize the during physics part to make this less. But the thing with this is that even if you make this smaller, the wait part will just increase. And so you won't actually be gaining any performance because you're still having to wait for the unknown physics to end. And so this wait time will just get bigger. So what you want to do is that you actually want to optimize the unknown physics part in the background worker. Because what happens is that, let's say if you reduce this to here, if you do that, then this part here will pretty much be cut in half, and so then your end physics part will start sooner, and that's what will help you gain performance. In this final part, I just wanted to go over briefly two questions. The first one is to do with optimization in general, and the second one is specific to VR development. So the first question is, when do you stop optimizing? Really, you should stop optimizing when you have reached your predefined goals and your game is hitting the performance milestones you are looking for. Because in reality, there isn't a limit to how much you can optimize a game. You can really like push it to like have increased performance, like have increased frame rate, and you can just keep adding and adding things to your game. But in reality, obviously at some point you're going to have to release your game. So just make sure that your game is up to, as we said, the performance goals you've set yourself, and is performing and not like crashing or like encountering weird performance issues. And once you've done that, then your game should be fine and you don't need to optimize it any further. The second question is in terms of specific tips for VR and know when you've hit like what milestones would you aim for in VR? For this, I would say you'd want to hit a minimum of 72 FPS, since when you hit the 30 to 45 FPS mark, it's very uncomfortable for the player to play at that FPS. Is very uncomfortable on the eyes. But what you could do is, if you are hitting 30 to 45 FPS, you can use this technique called asynchronous space warp, which is part of Meta's Unreal Engine fork, which helps with bad, as I said, with those bad frame rates. But unfortunately, this is only really useful if your game is stationary, so you're not moving around in a game such as ours, which is time has stopped, which is why we don't actually use this technique and we just try and optimize it to get 72 FPS without asynchronous space warp. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully this video gave you a basic understanding of Unreal Insights. We would love to hear your feedback in regards to this video in the comments section down below. We will try and release more videos with more advanced concepts for Unreal Insights in the future. But for now, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.